Go.
We rolling?
Yes. On the Go Wrestling Q&A here with the legendary Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. How are you feeling tonight?
Oh, I'm feeling really, really good. It's good to be here, Lancaster, you know, and be in the venue here with all the fans. I really love doing this type of stuff because it really gets you up close and personal, where you really get to meet the fans.
Glad to have you here. So how long have you been in the business?
Well, believe this or not, last November the 6th, I celebrated my 40th year. 40 years. I started in 1974, and 2014 makes 40 years.
So what's some of your biggest highlights that you like to remember about your wrestling career?
I think one of the biggest things that all of us is the appreciation that we get from the fans. I always remember them and thank them because everything that I have throughout my life has always been a tribute to them, because after all, they're the ones buying the ticket. And if they didn't come out, none of us would have anything of what we have. So, but fond memories that I have, and I was just asked this question tonight, and that is the roar from the crowd. It is always something like that, that whenever you do something in the ring, and the fans show their appreciation by either applauding or roaring or booing, you know, it's the response that I get from the fans that's always been my biggest appreciation.
So how did you get the name The Dragon?
Well, you know, that's a funny discussion there. I started off in my career as Ricky Steamboat. And then when I went to work for Vince McMahon, he also had a guy named Pat Patterson that worked closely with Vince. So they're saying, we're trying to think of something to spruce up the name. Well, at the time, there was a bunch of some of the Kung Fu movies that have come out. Okay. With Bruce Lee. And one name of a movie was Return of the Dragon, made by Bruce Lee. And so they took the dragon, and they said, you know, wherever you put it, you could put it in the beginning. It could be the Dragon Ricky Steamboat. It could be Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Put it in the middle. Or you could put it at the end, Ricky Steamboat the Dragon. So through a roundtable discussion, I acquired, through the help of Vince McMahon and Pat Patterson, that we added the Dragon.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
So what has been some of your favorite matches you've been in?
Well, you know, I've had a lot of favorite matches throughout my career in venues such as this, that were never televised, that were never filmed, right? But the ones that were out there broadcast, obviously, one of my top favorites, the match I had with Randy Savage at WrestleMania 3 at the Silverdome. And then a few years after that, the trilogy matches I had with Ric Flair. Okay. You know, the first time we met in Chicago, and I won the World Championship, and then the second time defending it, and then the third time in Nashville when he won it back. Throughout my 20 years of active wrestling, I've had over 6,000 matches. I was averaging 300 cities a year for 20 years. But those two matches of Savage and Flair really stick out.
So how was it being inducted into the Hall of Fame?
Well, you know, before I started in my wrestling career, the Hall of Fame wasn't even around. But then as I got into my career, and then afterwards, and started to continue to work with the World Wrestling Entertainment, it was something that in the back of my mind that would epitomize what you've accomplished in your career. And that was to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. It's just like baseball, football, basketball. In our business and in our sport, to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, I guess would be saying that everything that you've done in the business, for the business, was a way to really cap it off. It was a great thrill.
So what do you like to do now since you're retired?
Well, you know, I am still under contract with the World Wrestling Entertainment. Okay. I still work for them. And what they do, I do things such as this. I'm a diplomat, I'm a spokesperson. I will go out, they will send me out, and I will speak for the company when an upcoming big pay-per-view is coming to a city. They send me out to do appearances. I represent the company, the WWE. So this is this is my new gig now, and it's been my new gig for the last couple of years, in which I find this part of my career and in my life, it's almost a way of giving back to the fans. Because like I said earlier, this gives me a chance to listen to them talk, and they bring up matches that they remember seeing me at, and a lot of them will come up to me and say, I remember watching you when I was a kid. And now that father has brought his son, so he's passing it along generation after generation. So this gig here is really a good way of capping off my career, because now I get to really be up close with the fans.
If you had advice for someone pursuing a wrestling career, what would they be?
Your question was somebody getting into wrestling?
Yes.
You know, you learn the fundamentals, and that's what takes place in the ring. The biggest thing that I tell, and I have this question asked to me a lot, develop a character. Develop a character. In the past, it was me, the Dragon, Ric Flair, The Undertaker, The Rock. Every single guy that I have mentioned had its own character. And then we move fast forward and we have the John Cenas, the Bray Wyatts, right? The Seth Rollins. You know, and as I say those names, everybody can associate and relate to that each one of those guys has its own character. That is the biggest thing in today's business. The character is what the fans can relate to. Everybody can do everything in the ring, body slams, suplexes, dives off the top. But what makes you different from the guy standing next to you? It's that character.
Yeah. Did you like playing the heel or the face character? Does it matter?
Well, let me tell you this. Throughout my 20 years of active wrestling, I never was a heel. Never, not once. I was always a babyface. Now, there are not too many guys in the business that can say that, because a lot of guys went back and forth. Mm-hmm. Good guy, bad guy. But I was always a babyface. I always was the good guy. In 1991, I went to the company. I said, you know, I've been in the business at that time about 17 years. And I said, I've never worked as a heel, and I would like to. They put the lid on that idea real quick. They said, Ricky, you are the consummate babyface. If you ever was to turn heel, it would probably hurt your career. So don't even think about it. So I stayed as a good guy, babyface, throughout my whole career.
If they ever made a movie about Ricky Steamboat, what actor could play you, and what would the title be?
Wow. I don't know, Dean Cain. Got the look.
I can see it.
Yeah. Bulk him up a little bit, right?
Dean Cain or the other guy from Saved by the Bell, Mario Lopez.
Mario Lopez would be a guy. You know, there's a couple of them out there, you know. But then you'd have to have a cast of characters that play all the guys that I wrestle against. Who would be the Ric Flair, right? Who would be the Randy Savage, Macho Man, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So where can people follow you at now on the internet?
Yeah, they can follow me on the internet. The company's always putting me out where I'm going to be going to do an appearance or a spokesperson for a company or something like that. Yeah.
So what's your next upcoming schedule?
I've got a couple of weekends off, but coming up in October, I'm booked every single weekend. I'm going to various cities throughout the Carolinas. And then towards the end of the month, they're flying me over to England, over to London. I'm spending a few days over there to do an appearance. They got a big, like a European-style wrestling show. So, you know, that will sort of cap off the year, going over to England for that week.
You can follow me on Facebook.com, QA Wrestling, YouTube, TheIndyWrestlingFan. I'd like to thank Ricky Steamboat for your time.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yes, and any closing words?
Well, you know, just, you know, thanks all the fans, and continue to come out and support guys that are here tonight. A lot of these young guys are inspiring to hope and make it to the major leagues. And it's venues like this that keep everything rolling.
Thank you once again, and I'm signing out.